Hi there. This is an experiment. Welcome to April. Happy April Fool, whatever you celebrate. I choose to celebrate Earth Month this month. It's Earth Day is on the April 22nd, but really, one day is not enough as far as I'm concerned to celebrate our planet and talk about plastic pollution. So today is the first day that I want to do my Earth Day project. And I'm here to do it live. And it's going to be an experiment. I hope that I can pull it off. I hope that you will be able to join me in this. So this is my first day of stitching live right here on Instagram. Okay, so I am going to reverse my camera and hopefully not lose you as I'm reversing my camera. All right, here we go. Okay. And now, okay, there's my work table. So my substrate for my project is clear plastic. So I decided to work, instead of on my work table, which you can see up there, I decided to work on this felt background in hopes that you can see this easier. So the idea is to use a substrate that is going in the trash, that is should be repurposed and recycled. I cut up a bunch of plastic Ziploc bags that have served their service or whatever, and I cut them up about 5x4 size-wise, and later on I will stitch them into either one artwork or a book. I'm not sure yet. I found these teeny tiny little Ziploc thingies, and these will be the first item that I'm going to stitch onto my Ziploc. I'm using leftover thread. Here's a little wad of, it's an embroidery floss, 6 strands. I'm using it as is, and I'm just going to stitch these little guys on. I put a knot at the end, and for now I'm just going to tack them on and hope that they stay on, and then later on I can add some more stitches to it. Right now I just want to make sure that they're staying in place. So I'm just using all 6 strands of embroidery floss, and hopefully not tangling anything. And let's see. So now I've made a stitch here. This piece is attached. It's not going anywhere, but I want the other piece below. So I'm just kind of work my stitches back, backwards. Let's see. Let's go this way. And now let's see. I want to attach this piece, I think here. So I'm going to carry that long strand all the way to here because I can. Because I'm working with a clear plastic, you can see that my stitches are from the back and from the front. That's just inevitable with any kind of a sheer fabric or a clear fabric that you're working with. So you can see my stitches from the front and from the back. And that is a challenge that I gave for myself. You do not have to challenge yourself this way. You can choose to use a solid color background. I just urge you to make it repurposed. So it's something that has outgrown its usefulness, and we're finding another way to use it. Okay, so that's my second little, what's it called? It's called a zip tie, right? That's what it's called. So now I'm going to do my third, and I'm going to place it right over here. So and I'm just stitching it down here. I am getting a little bit tangled. I'm just using a few very simple stitches just to get it in place. It's sort of kind of starting to make a little bit of a pattern. Now I'm kind of wishing I had a whole bunch of these little zip ties that I snipped off. But maybe I'll come across more of them later, but this is all I've got. Okay, so this is what I've got now. these 3 little zip ties, and they're very simply stitched together, stitched onto my plastic. So I think what I'm going to do now, this is all very intuitive and I'm just making it up as I go along. I am going to stitch all the way around, just a running stitch. I'm just going to make an outline. It's not going to be perfect because this is just for fun. It's an experiment. Even for myself, who's been working with repurposed materials for a long time, this is a complete experiment. I have stitched on Ziploc bags before, but not quite in this fashion. So I'm just using up the rest of this thread that I have here and making a running stitch, just a silly little running stitch. So this will be the first page, or the first corner, whatever you want to call it, the first piece in my Earth Month project. So sometimes the plastic is a little stretchy. You got to help it along as you're doing this. Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me. So I am just stitching an outline over these little tiny pieces of Ziploc that I stitched onto my piece of plastic. So this is all I'm doing. This is just an experiment. It kind of looks like a kidney bean or something. That's okay. It can look like anything. It's just for fun. So I'm going to actually continue this way. I'm going to make this loop-de-loop and continue on this. And sometimes the plastic needs a little fingernail right next to it to help it slide through without stretching it. And okay, I'm coming to the end of my thread. I think I'm just going to let it hang and be a little ratty tail. That's what I think I'm going to do. All right, I think I can take another stitch or two. Let's see, one more. I can do one more. Okay, I think that's the end. I am just going to let this tail hang here and be ratty. So I don't know which way is up yet. It's a little bit higher up over there. Maybe it could be down this way. I don't know. But I do know that I have a little bit more of this thread left over. It's a variegated pink thread. So I'm just going to make a few stitches and make it add a little detail. Just a little fun detail. Really no grand plan here. I am just kind of riffing as I'm going. I'm riffing off the first lines that I made. So I'm following with an outline again. Now, there's no rules for this project. So if later on today, I decide that I want to add a few more stitches to this piece, make some kind of a decorative thing other than just a plain old running stitch, I could do that because there are no rules. And that's the beauty of the project like this. No rules. So I'm just doing an outline, and I think it's best to keep this simple, especially for the first day, because as you kind of get into it and figure out what you want to do, and for me, that's always an intuitive process when I'm stitching. I'm always figuring out what I want to do as I go along. Oops, tied a knot. Untied a knot. I think like in the next couple of days, I might get a little, make each day a little more complicated because I will sort of have gotten the hang of stitching on this Ziploc plastic bag, and I can do other things with it as I'm getting more used to it. That's the beauty of a project like this, of no rules. You can kind of make things up as you go along. You can decide to be super duper intense, or you can just make it really, really easy. And that's kind of sort of what I'm doing today. I am just doing a basic running stitch. I just tacked those little pieces on. Now I'm making a running stitch a little bit, making it a little bit decorative. That's all it is. Very, very simple. And I'm going to leave my tails hanging because I love to leave tails hanging when I can. It's not always possible, so I like to take advantage of it when I can. So I'm just going back and forth and making an outline around these silly little tiny pieces of zip ties that I am stitching on here. So the whole idea is to use up everything and anything that will go in the trash. These little zip ties have served their time, their usefulness, and now they would have been in the trash if I hadn't stitched them onto here. So, all right, so I'm going to leave it at this. Here's my simple little page, my first page for my Earth Day project. I stitched on the little tiny Ziplocs that I snipped off. They're just loosely stitched on with this blue embroidery floss, all 6 strands. I left the tail of the floss hanging up here. I think I'm gonna make it fluff it out a little bit, make it a little ratty, right? Because like I said, there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. And then I took this leftover little scrap of single strand variegated thread and I made a further outline. So there it is. That is the start of my Earth Month project. That's my very, very first piece. And I hope you'll join me. Okay, I'm going to try to reverse the camera again so you can see me. Thank you for joining me. This was a fun little experiment. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll save it. And I hope you will join me in this Earth Month experiment and tag me when you make your project. It would be great to see what you're doing. Just for fun, just for noticing the extra bits of plastic that we all have lying around that are going into the trash. So that's that. I hope you'll join me, and I will see you tomorrow when I stitch live on my second page on April 2nd. All right. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.